Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Higurashi when Ch.6, Chapter 6. I'm still thinking about the events from the last episode, and if I were a betting man, and I kind of am, honestly, I am willing to bet that the corpses that everybody buried is likely going to get discovered sometime after the Watangashi Festival. And after Tomitake and Takano are murdered, or well, Tomitake is, and Takano probably pulls her disappearing act, or what I'm assuming to be a disappearing act. Still am keeping an eye out for any solid proof on whether or not on that whole thing. But yeah, this piece is not going to last. It's going to all come crashing down. I know it's going to, because that's just been kind of the norm that's been established from the previous chapters. It's just a matter of how we're going to get to that moment when everything comes falling down all around their heads. And how bad it's going to make me feel watching everything and watching their whole worlds crumble around them and how they'll react to it. But anyway, no point in delaying the inevitable, so we might as well just hit continue.
"いつか幸せになれると信じてきた。誰かのことを思えば、相手も自分を思ってくれると信じてきた。悲しかった思い出を置き去りにして、少女は明日を見つめようと前を向く。甘えず、頼らず、たった一人で未来を切り開くために。その先にあるものは幸せか、それとも不幸せか。罪滅ぼし。誰かを愛したかった。でも本当は誰かに愛されたかった。
はい、いらっしゃいませー。
That opening narration is filling me with even more dread. And I see we're already at the festival. No in-between events from when we last left off in here, huh? We're just getting right to it.
特製のフランクフルトはいかがですか？あよ。
You said all that with just "arr." The Japanese language is just fascinating.
シロップはイチゴにメロンにブルーハワイがあるよ。おみくじたこ焼きいかがですか？あたりにはマスタードがげっしり。
There are a great many booths at this year's Watanagashi Festival. Anything can become a festival if there are vendors selling food and music for bond dances, I thought. It's still June, but it had been extremely hot the past few days, almost as if it's already summer. When you have a June festival with bond dance music under this kind of weather, the only thing that's missing to make it a perfect summer festival is fireworks. Well, Kumagai's here. Well, maybe not Kumagai, but Ushi maybe? I heard a voice coming from my... Oh, we are playing as Ushi right now. With this earphone, it looks a little like I'm secretly listening to the horse races while on duty.
はい、おいしです。感度良好。その麦茶、勤務中に飲める麦茶、飲めない麦茶。その麦茶、缶ならもらっといてください。コップなら自体でお願いします。はい、了解です。それと、紹介役員が挨拶に来てます。村長と、あと園崎家の方からも。お寮のばあさま？やだなあ。 大石は巡回中でいつ戻ってくるかわからないとか言ってごまかせません？
無線があるんだからすぐに呼び出せるだろうってすごい剣幕でして。
I wonder what's ruffled her feathers today.
あのばあさま、死ぬときは絶対脳梗塞ですね。
Well, and again, I guess a stroke would be worse for her than getting shocked to death.
了解了解。
Because
すぐに戻ると丁重にですよ。
Because at least with the latter option, it was instantaneous.
お伝えください。
Oh well. I guess I'll have to go back and mingle with the locals. All of a sudden, a group of kids came running towards me from behind. And here's the gang. After a quick look at them, I noticed that they were the granddaughter of the old bag and her friends. They occupied a corner of the shooting gallery stall, making a lot of noise. Mion Sonozaki. When acting her age, she's a cute, normal girl. But I do ever hate it when she acts like a member of the Sonozaki family. She'll be the boss of the Okinomiya Yakuza territory in 10 or 20 years. Just you wait and see. And while I was thinking things like that, I noticed that Mion wasn't the one taking leadership of her group this time. It was the boy. That boy. I know him. He just moved here recently. The boy from the Maibara mansion. Keiichi Maibara-kun, was it? I heard that the Maibara family is from the city, and they're supposedly very rich, too. But he doesn't flaunt his family's wealth, and he has a good reputation because of that. Even though he just moved here, he's already adjusted to his new school, and he's popular with his classmates, too. Everyone in the village seems to like him as well. If only he realized that in Chapter 1. He's very interesting to watch, as a person of many moods. Boys of his age sure have a lot of energy. To be young again. You're only as young as you feel, Ushi.
おい、次はレナだぜ。ここでレナはかなり美味しいタイミングだぜ。
大丈夫レナ？具合悪いんじゃないの？ごめん。
You're still feeling sick. Either this really is a long-lasting cold, or it's exactly as I fear, and you have the bug. But that also makes me wonder, if it is the bug, why is it taking so long to have any kind of lethal effect on you? Because in Keiichi's case, it took 1 or 2 days after the Watanagashi festival in Chapter 3 for, no wait, he was unconscious for a few days after falling off that bridge, but almost a week, I think. It took almost a week for him to die from his ailment. And everyone else who had it, well, they either ended up clawing out their own throats or were killed through other means before this thing had a chance to be in their systems for very long. So does that mean it's possible to... Well, then again, I did speculate you had it earlier in your life too, and you managed to survive it, so it is. So you yourself should be proof that it's possible to survive this bug. I gotta just figure out how do you good. Either way, I think I need to observe you just before I can safely determine what it is you got.
ちょっと射的は横で見てたいかな。なら、無理をしないで休んでいるといいのです。では、 レナさんを飛ばして、ここでいよいよ真打ち。私の出番でございましてよ。
It looked like only 4 of them were having a good time. The girl called Rena seemed outside that circle of smiles. Her name is Rena Ryugu. What was her real name? I couldn't remember, but I can check when I get back to the station. Rena is only a nickname. I believe she moved here a year before my Barakun did. Her mother divorced her father, or something like that. She's a strong girl who does all the housework by herself. She's a very modest girl, I'm told, which is rare in this area. You say modest, and when I think of Rena, I think, ooh, hoochkai! And modesty just goes right out the window at that point. Unlike my Barakun, it seemed like she hadn't really opened up to her friends just yet. If only you knew. Well, then again, if you knew, they'd all be in jail. They had looked like a group of 5, but there's a distance between her and the others. It's a little sad, you know. Barakun has become a part of the village, but Rena is still by herself. Well, that's just how it looks to me.
おいし了解。地域のお祭りにまで挨拶に来るなんて、うちの所長は地域交流に豆だな。沖宮の祭りに来たって話は聞いたことないのに。
ああ、こちら高杉です。大石さん聞こえますか？どうぞ。
はいはい、大石です。ただいま全速力で帰還中ですよ。もう1分ほどお待ちを。
If I don't hurry up, even the chief might end up calling me. I ran back to the headquarters tent. Well, I guess you two are prepping for your little excursion.
Oi san, 先生が到着してます。
We're just really zooming right through all this.
ああ、どうもどうも。どうですか、入江の先生。
Ushi entered the cordoned off area. So what do you got for us, Doc? Tell me something new about the poor bastard. I'm dying for new information. In there, people from forensics were taking pictures of the corpse from various angles. Irie was squatting down next to a dead body of Jiro Tomitake. I recently remembered, in that memoriam in Chapter 3, at the very end, you were the first name listed, and yet there was a little bit of information next to your name that said real name unknown. I can't believe I had completely forgotten about that until just recently. What's your real name? When he stood up, he looked pale.
信じられません。
そりゃ私だって信じられませんよ。初見で見た限り仏は喉をかきむしっています。それも自分の手でです。こいつはまっとうな死に方じゃない。十中八九何らかのヤバめな薬物でしょう。
Well, you and I are in agreement on that at least.
彼は何らかの薬物の常習者だったということでしょうか。
I think it was a something, Doc, not a drug.
さあね。そいつを調べるのはどうやら我々の仕事になりそうです。
大石さん、この角材は？
多分仏が振り回したんじゃないかと思います。で、途中で捨てて喉をかくのが楽しくなっちゃったんじゃないかと。
角材を何のために振り回したんでしょう。
自衛のためと考えるのが一番自然だと思います。仏の体に外傷がいくつかあるのに気づいてます？
ええ、打撲傷を思わせる跡がいくつか散見できます。
ってことは一番考えられるストーリーは、仏が祭り終了後沖宮へ帰る途中、ここで何者かに襲われた。それで取り押さえられて怪しげな注射とかそういうのをされて、その結果錯乱させられて死に至らしめられた。
喉をかきむしるように誘導できる薬物なんて聞いたことがありません。
Here's a crazy idea I just thought of. I'm pretty much of the opinion that Takano is involved in the conspiracy going on in this village, in some measure. And she has any kind of role in spreading this bug around. Because what if she injected something into Tomitake around this point, before his death, that could have accelerated or agitated the virus in his body to the point where he'd rapidly develop symptoms? It's just me randomly. This is just me randomly just speculating out loud here. I got nothing to really base this on. But I'm just because I think I remember in his autopsy report at some point mentioning that prior to his death, it looked like he might have been injected with something. And if I'm remembering that right, I'm just thinking what exactly that could be, because I'm speculating that everybody in this village has been exposed to this virus at some point, weeks, maybe months in advance before the great disaster takes place. And if that's the case, then what exactly would the shot be for? If Takano's goal was to get Tomitake to die of the symptoms that this virus causes. So I'm just thinking maybe it's either something that causes the virus to go into a very fast frenzy, or it could be just like some kind of anesthetic or something that would have made it easier for her and anyone else that she might have been with to attack the guy, thus making it harder for him to fight back. The latter, I guess, would be the more realistic option, I suppose, but I'm just randomly speculating out loud here. I don't have anything to base this on. I'm continuing on. I'm just rambling at this point.
私もそっちは専門じゃありませんが、薬物中毒の一つに自傷行為ってあるらしいじゃないですか。まあその辺はうちの鑑識のじいさまが調べてくれるでしょう。
おいさん、失礼します。ここから数百メートルのところに富武二郎のものと思われる自転車が見つかりました。
His bicycle. Takano had it with her in her car when she came across Keiichi in Chapter 3 on the night of the festival. I'm assuming then that it's at this point that she just disposed of it?
お、そうですか。ありがとうございます。何か手がかりとかは？
いえ、初見では特には。今、鑑識が言っています。
じゃあ、つまり、その自転車があった場所が襲撃場所と考えていいんでしょうね。それで、戦ったり逃げたりしてここまで来た。
Ushi frowned, crossing his arms in front of his chest. Irie was looking at the miserable corpse of Tomitake, and he kept saying the same thing over and over.
ありえない。絶対に ありえない。
What's impossible, Doc? Care to explain?
先生、ありえちゃったんだから仕方がないです。発想を柔軟にしましょう。まあ先生でもこんな死体はなかなか見慣れてるものじゃないか。先生はもう結構ですよ。お帰りになられて十分休んでください。救命活動でお呼びしたはずだったんですが、無駄足になってしまって申し訳ないです。
Ushi stuck his head out of the blue tent and asks, "Can anybody give him a ride home?" Irie gasped all of a sudden, and he turned to Ushi.
そうだ。高野さんはどうなったんです？
え？お宅の看護師さんの？
多分富武さんと一緒だったと思うんです。高野さんは無事なんですか？
先生、彼女の電話番号はわかります？
もちろんです。
熊ちゃん、入江の先生に電話番号を聞いて署から在宅確認を取らせてください。
I don't think she's gonna answer.
了解っす。先生、番号を。
はい。よろしいですか
Kumagai got the phone number from Irie, repeated it back, and then dashed away from the blue tarps.
先生、高野さんと仏は確か親しい仲でしたよね。
ええ。
何かトラブルがあったとか、そういうのは聞いたことがあります？
まさか聞いたことないです。仲のいい二人でした。
何事もなけりゃいいんですがね。下手すりゃ仏か、それとも星か。なるほど。看護師なら怪しげな薬物を取り扱えてもおかしくはないですよね。
そんな薬品はうちの診療所にはありませんし、あったとしても厳重に保管されています。高野さんに持ち出せるわけがない。
それでも一般人よりは容易でしょ。
ですからそもそもそんな薬物は聞いたことがないし、当診療所にも存在しません。
You say that, but I wonder. Would it be okay if we were allowed to look around to confirm that?
大石さん、留守のようです。署の待機組の方で直接訪問すると言ってます。先生、すみませんが高野さんの住所を教えてください。
熊ちゃん、それプラス県警に今夜出た身元不明の女性死体がないか確認を取ってください。あるいは県外の可能性もあるんだ。課長に近県にも同様に身元不明の女性死体が出ていないか確認を取るよう伝えてください。
了解っす。
高野さんも殺されているということですか？
さてまだ外車とも星とも決まったわけじゃありません。もちろん無関係って可能性だって残ってます。明日は月曜だってのも構わず、その辺の飲み屋で飲んだくれてる可能性もありますからね。
Well, it would make for a good alibi for her if that were the case, but...
信じられない。どうしてこんなことが。
まあ私だって信じられないです。品見沢村連続開始事件、これで5年目ですよ。Oyashiro-samaのたたりが5連続ってことになっちまいます。さあ、なんとか今年で尻尾をつかんでやりたいな。定年前にこの山だけはなんとか片付けたいんです。
Ushi hates the curse of Oyashiro-sama. It had been leading him around by the nose for 5 consecutive years. The victim of the first year, the manager of the damn construction site, was his friend. Despite his desire to avenge his friend, the mystery had only deepened, and one case followed after another year after year. Ushi would be retiring next March. As a retiree, he'd be able to ask about the progress of the investigation, but he wouldn't be able to take the initiative anymore. In other words, this year was his last chance for revenge. Is that also why you approached Keiichi in Chapter 1? Because you were just so desperate at that point to find any kind of lead that you'd go so far as to try to associate with one of Mion's friends in order to try to get any information that he might know about the Sonozaki family and the like from him. Would he have to put his head in the lion's mouth to capture the culprit? Wushi quietly clenched his fist. I believe that this maze has an exit. Maze is a very convenient word. A maze always has an exit. You don't call it a maze if it doesn't have one. I know I'm on the right path towards the exit of this maze. I used to miss these minor divergences, but now I don't miss anything. I don't make any mistakes. Did I just switch perspectives? This time I could feel a response that was different than all the other times. I'm sure I can finally get to the exit of this maze. But no matter which path I choose to come to this point, Jiro Tomitake always dies. Rika? So I guess we just skipped an entire day after the festival. Rena had been sick ever since that day, and she hadn't been able to join in on club activities as often since. Still sick.
まだちょっと風邪っぽいの。そうでございますの。それは残念ですわね。
なあレナ、たまにはパーッとはしゃいでみないか。多分元気に遊べば吹っ飛ばせると思うんだよ俺は。
そうだね。それはおじさんも同感だね。
そうかな。横になっている方がかえって毒になることもありますです。そうですわよね。病は気からとも言いますですわ。
I think I see what you're trying to say, Satoko, but yeah, never mind. Everybody has suspected for a while that Rena isn't really sick, at least physically. It's just that many things happened to her at once. She caught a mental cold. Give her a placebo then. That's why I thought she would get better once she played with us, just like we used to. It seemed like Rena was aware of that too. She knew that she had to get out of her state of depression soon. She wanted to get better, and she wanted to have fun again every day.
よし、私も参加する。
オッケー。そう来なくっちゃね。じゃあ今日はレナの病み上がりも少し加味してテーブルゲームから種目をチョイスしよう。何がいいかな。
I doubt it's going to be Monopoly. Mion started rummaging through her locker, humming to herself. She took one game after another from the locker and put them aside. That locker definitely didn't obey the laws of physics. The amount of games she took out from the locker was more than what it could physically hold.
お、こんなのもあったね。
If only that were the only strange happening in this town.
久しぶりにやってみようか。今日は本格派推理ゲームでいこう。
ほう、
Detective game.
なんだよそれ。面白そうだな。
犯人と凶器、犯行現場の3つを当てるゲームなの。
Wait, I think I know this one. What's it called again? Not Clue. Damn it, I know I've seen it before. What's its freaking name?
結構頭を使うんだよ。
一度やればすぐに覚えてしまいます。ちゃんとメモに整理していけば大丈夫なのです。情報の整理にはちょっとしたコツがありますのよ。知的な私の最も得意とするジャンルでございますわね。
You know, despite my affinity for murder mysteries and the like, I don't think I've ever actually played this game at any point in my life with anybody. The rules don't seem that difficult. In short, it's a game where you sound out the cards each player holds in order to try and reason out the identity of the cards first drawn out of the deck. There are plenty of games in different formats where you try to identify something hidden, at least in the least number of steps. This one just happens to be a competitive one of those. The key to winning this game would be how well you can organize your information. We usually like to play athletic games so that we can run around a lot, but in our club, you have to excel both academically and athletically.
よしよしよし、なんだか面白くなってきやがった。やろうぜやろうぜ。レナ、今日こそ曖昧になってるあの水鉄砲勝負の時の白黒をつけてやる。
Yeah.
そうだね。よーし、レナも本気で行くからね。レナが本気なら僕も本気を出さないといけませんです。ですわね。あの水鉄砲の一件以来、ケイチさんとレナさんの評価を改めましてよ。容赦なく行かせていただきますわ。
よしよし、盛り上がってきたね。おじさんもこういう暑さを期待してたんだよ。よし、行ってみよう。
よし行くぜ。
Ready as I'll ever be.
俺がナイフで書斎はどうだ。
あるよ。レナはね、ケイチくん毒薬で玄関ホールだよ。私はこれですわね。ミオンピストルラウンジですわ。
ピストルはあんたが持ってるんでしょ。下手なフェイクは意味ないよ。
犯人と凶器は特定できたと思います。犯行現場が2択なのです。はあ、リカちゃんも？私は犯人が2択で特定できない。コツは相手の質問内容からも何かのヒントを得ることですのよ。
You know, since I'm pretty sure Rika has been stuck in a time loop for an indefinite period of time, she's undoubtedly accumulated many lifetimes worth of knowledge by this point. At least I'm assuming so. So she would definitely by default then have the advantage over you guys as far as smarts and logical deduction is concerned.
それが分かれば時には相手の手札で答えが分かることもありましたよ。
なるほどな。くそ、甘く見てたか。やべえ、メモがぐちゃぐちゃで意味が分からなくなった。
メモに書き取るコツが分かればこのゲームは7割方攻略したも同然だね。ま、7割程度じゃおじさんには勝てないけどさ。
Also, can I just appreciate the irony of the game that they're playing, considering that they all had a hand in covering up a murder that one of their members did, and a game that they're playing right now is essentially a murder mystery game. I kind of knew I didn't stand a chance of winning this game, but I gradually started picking it up. Rena seemed to be getting her energy back as she played along. It was the right decision to force her to play with us today. That sounds so bad out of context. Okay, maybe not that bad, but bad. While we were in the middle of the game, Ch.6 came to the classroom.
楽しそうですね。ところで竜宮さんはいますか？
Trouble at home?
竜宮さんにお客様が来ています。
Nope, Trouble is just coming to visit us at school. Everybody looked puzzled. Parents sometimes showed up at school for some reason, but Ch.6 never called them visitors. Wait, what if it's Ushi? That could be a whole load of trouble all on its own. It's rare to have a visitor at school.
なんだろう。ちょっと行ってくるね。みんなは部活続けててね。
Rena left the classroom at a run.
どうする？待ってるか？
どれだけかかる用事かわからないからね。
Okay, I got a theory for what's about to happen here. It's Ushi who is here to visit her, and the reason that he is visiting her is because, well, he noticed. I'm getting people mixed up here. The reason he's visiting her is because he noticed during the festival that she seemed to essentially be separated from the rest of her group. And considering which group she's a part of, he probably logically deduced that she is probably likely to know at least something that Mia might have said at some point relating to the going-ons that the Sonozaki family are up to in regards to current events in Hinamizawa. So he's basically trying to get access to Rena in order to pry any information that he can from her that could help him advance his case. Just like what he probably also thought to do with Keiichi in chapter 1. He probably noticed at some point after observing Keiichi that he felt like that he seemed to be a bit of an outsider in his own group of friends. And so that's another reason why he approached him in chapter 1. I hope I'm making sense here. But anyway, I guess we'll find out if I'm right on any of this.
レナもああ言ってたことだし、私たちは続けようか。
Around the entrance, the glaring sun and the cool shade made it a clear contrast. I knew it! I freaking knew it! An old man who was holding his jacket on his arm was waiting for me. He looked like he was overheating, and his tie was limp. Well, I should at least hear him out first before I say I knew it. But so far I'm right.
竜宮さんですか。竜宮レイナさん。
Ever since Rena called me Rena, I hated that name more than ever. Because of that, I didn't have a good first impression of this man.
そうですよ。どちら様ですか？
私の車はエアコンが効いてますから、そっちでお話ししましょう。ここ暑くありません？
I would like to see some identification first, strange man. He ignored my question and started walking towards the car parked in front of the school gate. If he wanted to talk about something normal, he would have used the teacher's office. But he wanted to talk in his car instead. I couldn't help but feel suspicious. Chi-sensei let him see me, though. That meant he wasn't a suspicious individual as far as she was concerned. Who was he?
取って食いやしません。どうぞどうぞ。
No, you don't bite. You just grab people really, really hard. He called out to me while opening the rear door. Is he a policeman? Did the police find out that I killed those two? I felt anxious all of a sudden. Oh, great. If she has the... Yeah, she has to have the bug, so this is probably gonna make her symptoms possibly flare up a bit. The anxiety this is all gonna bring. Was this what they called a voluntary interview? I didn't want to go in that car. But if I rejected his offer, it'd only make me look suspicious. I prepared myself and got in. It was really cool inside the car. A car AC must cost a fortune. At least my father's car doesn't have one.
冷えすぎだったら言ってくださいよ。私ガンガンに冷やしちゃうたちですから。
で、私に何の用ですか?
In retaliation, I ignored his question and got to the point like he did. He pulled a small notebook out of his breast pocket and flipped through it. He picked out a photo from it. The photo showed the face of a goofy-looking man.
この男性のことでご存知のことがあったら教えてください。
The man in the picture was expressionless and looked half asleep. Sometimes you can't even recognize your own family members in a photo where they don't have an expression. So there was no way I would recognize a person who wasn't related to me. But anyway, that was a bit of a relief. This had nothing to do with Rena or her partner.
シャツにマジックで落書きがありましてね。リュウグさんをはじめクラスメート何人かの署名入りでした。
これ、富武さん?
I don't feel his usual carefree unreliableness from this picture at all. From his half-awake, emotionless face.
では、こちらの女性はわかりますか?
I knew what he was going to show.
ミオさんです。高野ミオさん。
二人に最後に会ったのはいつですか?
綿流しの祭りのお開きになった直後くらいにあったと思います。
何か気になったこととかありませんか? 何でも結構です。話してください。
富武さんたちに何かあったんですか?
よっしゃー取った!実はよ、レナとミオンで二択だったんだよな。
じゃあ、博打だったんですの?
I wonder if everyone else was goofing around like this in Chapter 1 when Keiichi was being interviewed by Ushi as well.
なんてリスクのあることを。それでも勝ちは勝ちなのですよ。
お、レナだ。おかえり。ずいぶん時間かかったね。
Mion noticed that Rena had returned. She looked exhausted. I had no idea what she talked about with the visitor, but it was obvious it wasn't something fun.
レナ、大丈夫?
何大丈夫って。
Are you okay?
顔色だよ。青いというか、白いというか。本当に大丈夫?
Rena tried to convince us she was fine, but her face clouded over for a moment and she decided to leave early. I shouldn't have forced her to join the game. It wasn't you. I was regretting it a little. Rena probably forced herself to play with us, even though she wasn't feeling well at all. Rena put her stuff in her bag, apologized to us for leaving early, and left the classroom.
まあ仕方ありませんわね。ではせめて私たちの白黒ははっきりさせようじゃございませんの。
そうだね。次は誰の番だっけ？
よっしゃリカちゃん来やがれ。
What exactly did Ushi say to you that had you unsettled like this? Or, because somehow I doubt it would bother you quite this much if all he talked to you about was just Toмотake and Takano. Oh boy, this music's playing. Definitely not a good sign. First of all, I wasn't very close to Mio-san. I knew who she was, so I greeted her whenever we happened to pass by. But that was about it. I never really talked to her except for the one time. And that time was only recently. It was between the day of the Watanagashi festival and the day I was caught in the act of burying the two corpses by Keiji-kun and my other friends. I had a phone call from the library that evening, and I was told that my father needed to return the book he borrowed. He was shopping at the home improvement store at the time, so I went to the library to return the book for him. While I was there, I thought about borrowing some books for myself, and I started to walk around the library. I saw her there.
あら、レナちゃんじゃないかしら。
You sure love hanging around libraries, don't you?
こんにちは。
ミオさん、どうもこんにちは。図書館で会うなんて珍しいですね。
そう？私にとってみれば、あなたが図書館にいることの方が珍しいんだけどね。
So why are you approaching Rena? She smiled in the very attractive and charming way that only mature women can do. Her smile gave no indication that she knew her death was just a few days away. She said that she often met with Toмотake-san at the library. It seemed like she had time to kill, so she told me she wanted to buy me a drink. I had nothing to do after that. I let her buy me a canned iced milk tea from the vending machine in the library, and we talked for a while. Once I came to think about it, it was a little ironic. She mostly talked about the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. She had no idea that she was going to be the victim of its 5th year. That's assuming she actually is a victim.
連続開始事件ですか？
あら、聞いたことくらいあるでしょ？ 4 年前にはダムの現場監督、3年前には北条夫妻、2年前には古出夫妻、そして去年は聡子ちゃんのおばが犠牲になったひなみざわ村連続開始事件よ。
You've already had to have spoken to Shion about this. Yeah, you've already spoken to her last year about this stuff. So,
それがあと何日かで5年目を迎えるじゃない？
一応私もそういう物騒な名前で呼ばれていることは知ってますけど、でも5年目も起こると決まったわけじゃ。
怒るわよ。
And how do you know that, if I might ask?
絶対にね。2度あることは3度あるってことわざがあるけど、4度あることは5度あるって方がもっと確率は高いとは思わない？
Miyu-san was convinced that the fifth mysterious death was going to happen, but she didn't know she was going to be the fifth victim. That's ironic, and also really creepy. But there was always something creepy about her. So maybe she knew that she was going to be killed in a few days, but still managed to make that mysterious smile. The series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. Of course, I know about it. I've lived here for more than a year. Every year on the day of the Watanagashi festival, one traitor to the village dies mysteriously. It's been that way since the dam conflict. Each case was solved individually, but mysterious incidents still happen every year. It makes me wonder if there's some kind of will to all this. The creepiness and incomprehensibility of it all gave rise to the name The Curse of Oyashiro-sama, which fit it perfectly. Despite this, I always thought that the Curse of Oyashiro-sama was just a series of coincidences. My reason for that is because I strongly believe that Satoshi-kun was the one who murdered his aunt on the 4th year. I don't have any evidence, but I just know it. I know that Satoshi-kun was in a serious predicament last year, and that he had nowhere to turn. He had no one to help him, but he had to save Satoko-chan as soon as he could. Satoshi-kun thought it through, and made the best choice he could to handle the situation, just like I did when I had my problem with Rena. I hesitated to inform Mio-san that Satoshi-kun was the murderer on the 4th year, so I just listened to her for a while. I would be very interested to see, actually, how she would respond if you just told her that, because since I'm pretty certain that she's connected to the conspiracy, and she's been here for at least a few years, I believe. If she's had any kind of hand in Satoshi's disappearance, I'd be very interested to see how she'd react, even if it's just subtle body language. But by that same token, that might also put you on a hit list, Rena, so maybe it'd be for the best that you don't. I don't know what I want here. Both have pros and cons to it as far as I'm concerned. Both options. According to her theory, the series of the mysterious deaths isn't just a set of coincidences, but is instead a series of interrelated murder cases. At that point, my theory was completely the opposite of hers, but I decided not to cut in.
ひなみ沢のお社様信仰は知ってるわよね。
Takano-sen started telling me that Hinamizawa was once called Onikafuchi. She also explained the story of how the villagers were in the old days, showing me the scrapbook she was so proud of. The villagers back then were man-eating demons, but they were also admired as transcendents. Enlightened people not bound by earthly desires.
つまり、ミオさんの説によるならば、連続開始事件は、お社様を崇拝する信心深い団体がひなみ沢に潜んでいて、お社様の力を世に示そうとしている、という。
信心深いというか、原理主義的というかは、紙一重だけどね。明治以降、村の名前がひなみ沢に変わって以来、鬼ヶ淵村が長く続けてきたさまざまな風習が途絶えている。それをよみがえらせ、再び鬼ヶ淵村の名と威風を取り戻そうと思っている人たちがいるんじゃないかしら。
Miyu-sen's theory was more than a little crazy, but it was also fascinating. At first, her theory had sounded like she was just jumping to conclusions. But after she eagerly showed me the documents she'd been studying, I started to think that it wasn't actually too far from the truth. If her theory was true, it would mean that the accidental deaths of the Hojo couple in the 2nd year, The second, the suicide and the death by disease of the Farud couple in the 3rd year, and the drug addict murder in the 4th year were all cooked up. It means someone who has a lot of power and influence over the police was involved. When I pointed that out, Mio-san nodded in agreement, and she started talking about how strongly they were rooted in the village and how deeply they were involved with many public organizations. After she finished explaining all that, I finally noticed that Mio-san was suggesting that the 3 families, including the Sonozaki family, were the masterminds behind the murder incidents. Well, we know that's a load of bull, given what Mion told Shion at the end of Chapter 5, at least in regards to the Sonozaki family. In fact, the Sonozaki family really is very powerful. They hold influence not only in Hinamizawa and Okinomiya, but also over the entire Shishibone area. It might not be wrong to say that they even hold influence over the entire prefecture. If the Sonozaki family is behind all this, her theory would be more realistic. But that means I should be suspicious of Mi-chan. No, I shouldn't. But in fact, Mi-chan was very cold and unkind to Satoshi-kun when he was going through a tough time. I know there was conflict between the Sonozaki family and the Hojo family during the Dam Wars. But still, she was very cold to Satoshi-kun. But Mi-chan admitted that what she did was wrong. And I forgave her too. I didn't want to think about that again. I decided to change the subject because I knew it'd make me uncomfortable if we kept talking about the Sonozaki family.
そもそも、お社様信仰って一体何なんでしょうね。鬼と人が共存というのも面白い話です。普通の昔話だったら、鬼が来たら退治してやっつけるという風なのに。
そうね。そのあたりがお社様信仰の面白いところね。でも、そもそも神の国から神が漂着してきて崇められるというのは、決して珍しいことではないのよ。漂着神崇拝って言ってね、世界中に海の向こうから、あるいは川上から神が漂着してきて、それを人々が敬ったという類の神話が残されているわ。
それは偉人漂着の話でしょうか。
そういう捉え方も一般的ね。古代日本は大陸に比べると様々な文化が遅れていた。だから進んだ文化を持った異国人が漂着した結果、その知識を敬い神と祀ったというのは。
そういえば、日本に伝わる赤鬼や青鬼もナンパして漂着した異国人のことを指すのではないかという説がありましたね。天狗のいわゆる真っ赤で鼻が異様に高い顔も欧米人を見慣れない古代の人々が作り上げたのかもしれないし。
あら、レナちゃんもなかなか鋭い見方ができるわね。それには私も同感よ。大方の漂着神信仰の原点は、私も偉人漂着にあると思うわ。
Well, there's a funny idea. I could just go to a very underdeveloped country in the world somewhere that has never been exposed to any kind of interaction from the outside world for probably centuries on end. And depending on what wealth of information I possess and how I tell it to people, I could essentially be deified. Me, a deity. That'd be hilarious and probably a little horrifying all at once.
でもそうだとすると、鬼ヶ淵村の鬼が現れたとする漂着神信仰にはちょっと不思議な点がある。わかるかしら？
わからないです。
簡単よ。鬼ヶ淵村には海がない。
あ、確かに。
異人漂着なら外の世界とつながる接点が欠かせないはずよ。欧米なら異国に通じる川、日本なら世界に接する海。だから日本における漂着浸崇拝もそのほとんどは沿岸部に集中するわね。
鬼ヶ淵村以外に漂着し、そこから旅をしてここまでやってきた可能性はありませんか？
ところがお社様信仰の決定的なところは、鬼が漂着した場所を鬼ヶ淵沼とはっきり特定している点なの。鬼ヶ淵沼には何も流れ着かない。そんなところになぜどこから漂着したのか。実はこの辺にお社様信仰の謎を探る面白さがあるのよ。お社様の伝説はどの程度知ってるかしら？
学校に置いてある絵本で読んだ程度です。
I felt like I know a lot about it, but I actually don't. I just have an extreme fear of the rule not to leave Hinamizawa. After all, my life went wrong after I left. I felt dizzy when I tried to think about it further, so I stopped. When everything went wrong in Ibaraki, I met Oyashiro-sama, and he told me to go back to Hinamizawa. No. I'll get dizzy. Don't try to remember. I can't remember. I got desperate because I felt responsible for the divorce. I just used Oyashiro-sama as an excuse for my mental instability, and I told my father I wanted to go back to Hinamizawa. Right? I actually think that's pretty close to the truth. But wait. Oyashiro-sama did come to me. Oh, no. The colors are too dazzling. I can only remember the vivid color of the pills and the dizziness.
それだけ知ってれば十分よ。鬼ヶ淵より鬼が湧き出し、村人を襲った。それを見かねたお社様が降臨して鬼たちを平服させたわ。鬼たちは地獄を追放され、行き場がないことを嘆き、それで村人たちは鬼たちを気の毒に思って村に住まわせてあげようと決めた。そしてお社様は村人たちの心に感銘を受け、鬼たちに人の姿を与え、村に共存させたという。その血は次第に交わり、村人たちに溶け込んでいった。
そうです。そういう話だったと思います。
I felt dizzy, like I was going to faint, because I touched the one memory I didn't want to.
神話の多くは古代の何らかの事実を原型にしていると言われることが多いんだけど、レナちゃんはこの神話から何を読み取れるかしら？
Because I was still feeling dizzy, all I could do was tilt my head quizzically. It seems like Mio-san was expecting that response, because she smiled, looking satisfied that she successfully made me confused. She took a scrapbook out of her paper bag.
これ、レナちゃんに貸してあげるわ。
ありがとうございます。でも私。
いいのよ。暇な夜長にでも思い出したら読んでくれれば結構。レナちゃんは鋭いところがあるみたいだから、それを読んだ上で今度じっくり議論を交わしたいわね。私も肯定的であれ敵対的であれ、議論の相手がいなくて寂しいのよ。二郎さん、こういうのにはさっぱり興味のない人だし。
I had little choice but to take the scrapbook. Apparently Mio-san came to the library often, so I figured I could return it to her whenever I came to return my books. However, the day I'd returned the scrapbook to Mio-san never came.
どうしたの？さっきからうつろね。体調悪いの？
あ、ちょっと夏風邪気味で、まだ病み上がりなんです。
It wasn't the summer cold that was making me feel dizzy. I always get dizzy when I try to remember the time I met Oyashiro-sama in Ibaraki. I mustered all my courage and asked her. My memory of those days in Ibaraki is blurry. I know I met Oyashiro-sama. Nobody believed me, and they told me that it was a hallucination. But I thought Mio-san would listen to me.
ミオさん、今度は私の話を聞いてもらってもいいですか？
いいわよ。聞いてもらったお返しに、今度は私が聞くわ。
If you end up telling her about your story, about your run-in with Oyashiro-sama, if you were infected with this thing back then, how is she going to respond?
いえ、お社様の話なんです。笑われないかとても不安です。
笑わないわよ。あなたも私の話を笑わなかったもの。
Mio-san said it in a very gentle and mature way, and that encouraged me. Even so, I still hesitated to talk. But there was probably nobody but Mio-san with whom I could talk about something like this. I gathered my courage again and spoke.
私、お社様に会ったことがあるんです。
本当に？
はい。私、小学校に上がる前までは、ひなみ沢に住んでいたんです。それが、母の仕事の関係で、茨城に引っ越したんです。この意味はわかりますよね。
わかるわよ。南沢を離れてはならないという、お社様の禁忌に触れた、ということね。
そうです。それで、いろいろ悪いことが起こって、母が離婚し、家庭はぐちゃぐちゃになりました。私も自暴自棄になって悪いことをしたりしました。
辛いこともあったのね。それで？
世の中の何もかもが嫌になって、自分以外の幸せな人たち全部が私を見下しているように感じた最後の頃、不思議な存在が現れるようになったんです。
それがお社様？
初めて現れたのは、内緒ですよ。全部嫌になって自分を壊してしまいたいと思って、体に刃物を突きつけたことがあったんです。その時、首をカミソリで切りつけたら、血に混じってブクブクと汚らしい何かが溢れ出したんです。
What came out?
それは、
バカにしないわよ。続けて。
The chill I felt that time came back to me. I sealed that memory away so that I wouldn't have to remember ever again. But once I unsealed it, I started remembering things one after another. Yes, back then, there was something in the blood. Something crawling. Feeling of something underneath your skin. I think that was also another symptom of this bug.
赤黒い無数の何か。それらは首から血がこぼれるのと一緒にバラバラと湧き出してきました。しかもそいつらは外へ溢れまいと傷口から再び中へ戻っていこうと、わらわらわらわらって。私、そんな気持ち悪いのに体内に戻られたくなくって書きました。 首の傷を引っかいてほじくり出そうとしました。でもそれ以上は痛くて血まみれになるばかりで、それで私は急に怖くなりました。私の体の中には血管いっぱいにあの気持ち悪いのがぎっしり詰まってるんじゃないかって。それで私は試しにカミソリで股の血管を開いてみました。そしたら溢れてきたんです。ドバッとわらわらっと。
I think this is the first instance that I can recall where somebody who was infected with this thing actually saw maggots coming out of their bodies. So this is definitely interesting and horrifying all at once. I understand, Ryugu-san, so please calm down.
分かってないってば。そいつらは血と一緒にドバッと溢れ出すけど、すぐに元の血管の中に戻ろうとする。それがとてもかゆいんです。
Please bring a doctor. No. Don't clot it like that. Bring me a sedative. Hurry! Hold her down.
私の血管の中のやつをやっつけて、血を全部抜いてきれいにして。私の血管には変なのがいっぱい詰まってるの。どうして信じないの？見せてあげるから。見れば信じるでしょ。注射は嫌。
落ち着いて。ね。
Miu-san sat next to me and held my hands tightly. Her touch brought me back to reality.
それでどうしたの？
そんな誰も私のことを信じてくれないときに、Oyashiro-samaが。
The memory was very vague, and I saw flickering lights. It made it difficult for me to remember. I met Oyashiro-sama. That sentence is all I remembered. The memory of actually meeting Oyashiro-sama was unbelievably vague. After I got out of the hospital, I continued being treated at home. I still felt something moving in my veins, so I wanted to cut my body to make the blood ooze out so I could make sure there were no maggots in there. Usually, I was sleeping like the dead because of the strong pills I was taking. But one day, I forgot to take the pill, and my consciousness was very clear. I felt the maggots moving in my veins, and I felt the urge to look inside. I cut a vein on my wrist. I knew it. A lot of blood and many dusky red maggots came out from the wound. I wanted to wash them off before they crawled back inside me, so I put my wrist under the water in the bathroom sink and tried to open the vein. Water, blood, and maggots ran down into the drain. Just like squeezing out the pus from a pimple, I squeezed the vein to get rid of the dirty blood and the maggots. I kept doing it. My arms started to feel numb, and I felt cold. But I kept doing it. I thought I might die from losing too much blood, but I kept doing it. My body was filled with maggots. I had to squeeze all my blood out of me. And then, a very bright light shone upon me. It was a very bizarre sensation. I had never experienced anything like it in my life. All of a sudden, the dark bathroom was filled with a bright light. It was very bright, but gentle. It wasn't like the light from the merciless fluorescent bulb. It was very warm and gentle. That was Oyashiro-sama. Oyashiro-sama was looking at me with gentleness and sadness in his eyes. As he touched my wound, the maggots started melting and disappeared in front of my eyes. That wasn't all. All the maggots that were moving throughout my veins disappeared too. Oyashiro-sama taught me. These maggots were the curse. People of the demon's blood can't live outside of Hinamizawa. It's the rule. Unfortunately, you've been cursed. It's very sad, and I feel sorry for you. There is only one way to save you. That's what he said. What should I do? The answer was very simple. All I needed to do was go back to Hinamizawa. I unconsciously knew that before I heard it from Oyashiro-sama. People who were born in Hinamizawa must never leave. But I broke Oyashiro-sama's rules, and I left Hinamizawa. That's why my family was broken, and I lost my mind. If I hadn't left Hinamizawa, nothing would have gone wrong. And so, I had to go back. Oyashiro-sama also told me this. He could make the maggots, the embodiment of the curse, disappear. But only temporarily, because I lived far from Hinamizawa. After a while, the power of Oyashiro-sama would fade away, and the curse would start eating my body again. If that happened, the maggots would take over my body, and I would go insane and die. I must go back to Hinamizawa, before his power to hold down the curse faded away. If this was Oyashiro-sama's curse, then why wouldn't Oyashiro-sama not have the ability to hold back its own curse? If you were to move away from the village. This is odd. That's what Oyashiro-sama told me. He did. I heard him tell me that. I should have gone back to Hinamizawa earlier. That's why Oyashiro-sama came to me to put his curse on me. But he gave me a chance. He gave me a chance to pay for my sin of leaving Hinamizawa. Dad, listen. Oyashiro-sama is going to help us. Let's go back to Hinamizawa. Hinamizawa is the place where we must live. If we don't, not only me, but you might be cursed too. Let's go back to Hinamizawa. That's the only place where we can live. We need to hurry. We need to hurry, or Oyashiro-sama's power will fade away. My body will be eaten by the maggots. Oh no. Oyashiro-sama is following me. He's telling me to hurry. He follows me everywhere and keeps telling me to hurry. He keeps apologizing to me for putting his curse on me. He's even apologizing for this? He follows me everywhere and keeps apologizing I'm telling you the truth. I am. Why can't anybody see it? Why can't they see the maggots or Oyashiro-sama? Everybody's trying to fool me. I know they can see them too. No. Please stop. I don't want to get another shot.
落ち着いた？
I was breathing hard, and Miu-san was holding my shoulders. I could feel that the terrible memory I'd been trying to forget was awakening. The doctors told me that the memory was just my delusion. They told me that since I blamed myself for the divorce, I unconsciously had a desire to blame someone else for it. And I unconsciously connected a desire to the folktale of Oyashiro-sama that I read when I was little. I got drug treatment, received counseling, and waited. I gradually got better, and that proved the things I saw were just a hallucination. The doctors asked my father to consider moving to Hinamizawa if possible. Fortunately, he wanted to change his living environment to heal his pain from the divorce as well. So, we came back to Hinamizawa. After we came back to Hinamizawa, I felt it. I felt it in my bones that this was the place we should live. And I also felt Oyashiro-sama's blessing. I definitely felt it. I felt the curse of Oyashiro-sama starting to break. I was free. After I moved here, I went to the clinic in Gogura for a while. The doctor gave me the same poisonous-looking pills, and I kept taking them for a while. The terrible memory gradually became unclear. Whenever I tried to remember it, I could only remember the strong side effect of the pills, and it made me dizzy. That's how I regained my peace. And then, I changed my name, Rena. The reason was because my name reminded me of those bad memories. I didn't want to have anything icky in my life anymore. That's why I came up with the idea of taking icky things out. After I took the I of icky out of my name, Rena, there was only the Re and Na left. That's how Rena was born. I liked that. When I was introduced to my classmates, I told them to call me Rena. Since then, that had been my name. I'm living my new life as Rena. I cut away all the sad things that happened when I was Rena. My father still calls me Rena, but I don't feel as bad. But I don't feel bad as long as it was just my father and my relatives. But then, Rena came into my life one day, and she called me Rena. Because she called me Rena, those colored lights started flickering again. I should stop. I should forget about it. The lights were still flickering.
すみません。私、だいぶ取り乱してました。
小声で何かつぶやいてたわね。落ち着いたならよかったわ。
Judging by Mio-san's reaction, it wasn't panicking as badly as I thought I was. But I probably had those panicked hallucinations several times. If I started screaming and yelling like I once did, they'd take me away to a hospital again for sure.
私は、あの異常な中で、確かにお社様に会ったんです。もちろん、不気味な何かも。信じられませんよね。
Mio-san smiled, looking a little confused. I couldn't blame her. I didn't expect her to believe it. I do wonder what you're confused about, though. I'm sure it was just a strange memory I created for myself in my hallucinations. I can't believe I can't trust myself. That's the worst feeling of all.
レナちゃん、まず一つ安心してほしいの。
はい。
レナちゃんが怖がっているたたり、つまり血の中にいたという変なもの。それはお社様が言うにはひなみ沢にいる限りは大丈夫なんでしょ？
ええ、そう言ってました。
なら怯えることはないじゃない。 安心して。あなたは今、ひなみ沢にいる。まあ、この図書館は沖宮だけど、このくらいの距離ならお社様も許してくれるわね。血管の内側に何かが騒いでいるなんて感じないでしょ？
それは、はい。
だから安心して。あなたは今、お社様の戒律をちゃんと守ってる。だから、何も恐れなくていいの。
At least until quote-unquote Oyashiro-sama decides to forgo the rules and murder her, local Jesus Christ figure, Rika.
だってそうでしょ？ね？
はい。はい。
I didn't know until then that she was such a warm-hearted person. I wonder. I met many doctors and talked to them about this, but they always ignored me and didn't really listen. All they did was give me a shot of the drug I hated. On the other hand, Mio-san didn't deny my story or the existence of Oyashiro-sama. The people in this village whispered behind her back that she's a little crazy. I wonder why. But she was actually a very kind person, I thought.
レナちゃん、私は今の話全部信じるわ。
ありがとうございます。そう言ってくれた人は初めてかもです。
それは私も同じよ。私の話をバカにしないでちゃんと聞いてくれた人はあなたが初めて。私たち、いい友達になれそうね。
Mio-san smiled, touching my head with hers.
なら、私の秘蔵のファイルとスクラップも貸してあげるわね。本当に本当の門外不出。私以外の誰にも見せる気がなかったんだけど、レナちゃんには特別に読ませてあげてもいい気がするわ。
Didn't you say something to that effect with Shion a year ago?
あなたなら、バカにしないでちゃんと読んでくれそうな気がするし。
She took a few scrapbooks out of her paper bag and handed them to me.
ぜひ読んで感想を聞かせてね。
You know, now that I think about it, you've only given Shion just one scrapbook, not multiple.
あるいはひょっとすると、レナちゃんにしかわからないことなのかもしれない。
Mio-san was acting mysteriously. She smiled mischievously and put her index finger on her lips as a sign to keep it a secret.
あと、このスクラップ帳と私がそういう研究しているのは内緒よ。
内緒ですか？はい、わかりました。
だって、こんな研究をしているのが連中に知られたら消されてしまうかもしれないものね。
Really now? She laughed after she said that. They might erase her. That's what she said. And she went missing. She left me her scrapbooks. But that's not all there is to it. It's the way Tomataki-san died. Ushi-san said he committed suicide because of the state of excitation caused by some kind of drug. But I know what really happened. I didn't tell Ushi-san about it. I didn't think he'd have believed me even if I told him. I guess that explains why you were so spooked about everything earlier after you got done talking to him. Without a doubt, Tomataki-san died trying to get rid of the maggots. It was nothing other than the curse of Oyashiro-sama. To never leave Hinamizawa isn't the only rule of Oyashiro-sama. There are more. He might have broken one of them without knowing it. Ushi-san told me. Tomataki-san was taking pictures with his camera flash on during the sacred ritual dance, and some people got mad at him for it. Did Oyashiro-sama put his curse on Tomotaki because he violated the sacred ritual dance? It might be for another reason. Anyway, he died from the curse of Oyashiro-sama, without a doubt. Did that mean Oyashiro-sama put his curse on Mio-san too? Investigating the gods is the same as getting close to the gods. It's disrespecting them. But Mio-san told me that they might get rid of her if they found out about her investigation. By they, she meant humans. Plus, according to her theory, the three families are in a conspiracy to revive the faith of Oyashiro-sama. But I can tell by the way Tomotaki-san died that it was the act of the curse. I'm certain about that because I experienced the curse myself. At first glance, that seemed incompatible with those conspiracy theories about human beings. I remember that Oushi-san told me something about some kind of drug that can make a person commit suicide. So do the three families have a secret drug that can cause the curse of Oyashiro-sama? That's impossible. Plus, I didn't get any shots of a suspicious drug like that. I had a normal life in Ibaraki. I wasn't involved with the Sonozaki family or the Kimiyoshi family. Wushi-san asked me a favor. He asked me to tell him secretly if I saw or heard anything suspicious. It could be about Mi-chan, Rika-chan, or anybody in the village. Miu-san believed my story about Oyashiro-sama. Now she's gone. Tomotaki-san died by doing the same thing I did. Oh, no. I don't want to get involved with the curse of Oyashiro-sama. Is this a conspiracy of a group of fanatical cult members? Or is it the curse of Oyashiro-sama? I believe it's neither of those things. Is everything just a set of coincidences? Or maybe it's a mixture of conspiracy and the curse. I don't know. Is it the work of humans, the curse, or a coincidence? Oh no. Even the light of the sunset was making me feel dizzy. When did the sunlight in Hinamizawa get so mean? Miu-san told me to keep her investigation secret. I have her top secret scrapbooks. They might hold the truth about everything. When I realized that, I got scared all of a sudden. I might end up the same way as Mio-san, because I have her scrapbooks. If it's a conspiracy, I'll be erased. If it's a curse, I'll be cursed. I should burn the scrapbooks. That's the safest thing to do. Before you consider doing that, please let me read them. I have a feeling that they contain some very important information that could help me piece together some things that could give me a good bit of answers. But Mio-san believed my story. Mio-san listened to me without laughing. It'd be wrong to burn them without taking a look. If it's a conspiracy, I have to expose it. Thank you. If it's a curse, I have to break it. I shouldn't run away. I should fight. That's right. I decided to fight to seize my happiness. I shouldn't give in to misfortunes. I have to fight. I'm going to get rid of all the things that are trying to ruin my peaceful life. I'm going to read her scrapbooks when I get home. I started walking faster. New tips unlocked. Lunch takeout list. I really want to know what's in those scrapbooks. But I guess right now we just gotta see what's the deal with this lunch takeout list. attend Karuda Mental Clinic. Hello. To get straight to the point, we can assume that this is an acute case of post-traumatic stress disorder. Is this relating to Rena in any way? The patient is subject to tremendous stress because of her parents' sudden divorce. Yep. And being forced to choose to live with either her mother or her father. Furthermore, the patient firmly believes that she was responsible for her parents' divorce, which further drives her to self-mutilation. The patient's largest shock stems from a sense of betrayal of her own household, which she believed was an absolute safe haven. Henceforth, there is a high possibility that the patient will resort to psychological defense measures to protect her family. For example, she might feel high disdain for any person of the opposite sex who approaches her father. She might feel uncomfortable about having other people in her home. She may also display eccentric behavior in order to keep people away from it. These certainly are all accurate to her. As an example of the latter, there are reported cases of patients unconsciously bringing home garbage. It's highly important that the patient remains in close communication with her father. By deepening the communication between the two of them, it will strengthen their family bond and loosen up her anxiety. Since the patient only shows signs of acute syndrome in this case, there's a very good chance that she'll recover within 3 months with her father's support and proper medication. However, it's common for a patient who seemed to have recovered to have a sudden reoccurrence, flashback, even after 10 years. Her father is still fairly young, and there's still a chance that he could remarry. However, seeing an unfamiliar member of the opposite sex through remarriage could trigger a flashback in the patient, which may lead to avoidance behavior or hyper-awareness. Please explain this part thoroughly to the father in order for him to understand the recovery process. So, your father was aware of what could possibly happen if he were to suddenly bring in somebody of the opposite sex, and start a relationship with them, while you were still recovering from all this crap, and yet his desperation just made him forgo this and just take in Rena anyway. What the fuck, man? Should the father decide to remarry, it's recommended that he should hold off in telling the patient until she reaches the age where she's capable of living independently. Also, the cause of the patient's psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior, delusional parasititis, seems to be its own culture-bound syndrome. The patient blindly believes that leaving her home village will cause a curse, and that this curse was the cause of her parents' divorce. We believe that this is a subconscious defensive mechanism to reduce her mental trauma by shifting the blame from herself to her village's curse. According to the patient's statement, the culture of her home village is extremely strict and exclusive. The patient believes that there is no way to be saved from the curse other than by going back to the village, as the curse will continue as long as she lives in her current environment. Through this, we see an inclination of schizophrenia, and believe the chances are high that the patient will continue to alter their perceived reality. Schizophrenia, a case where patients' personalities are reduced, causing altered perceptions of reality and delusions. Her delusion about the maggots dwelling in her blood is a perfect example, and it's also the cause of her psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior. When a delusion involves psychosomatic self-mutilating behavior, it's extremely dangerous. I highly recommend for the father to move back to the village if he's financially capable. Allowing her to live with relatives in the village might also work. If such a strong belief can induce symptoms of such as self-mutilation, then there might be other cases similar to this one. Perhaps prior medical files that document similar culture-bound syndromes may be available at a large medical institution in her local area. It will then be possible to provide better and more accurate mental care for the patient by obtaining these case files. This B5-sized letter was with a bunch of memos. The following was on the backside of the letter. 1. Chukudon 3. Shanghai-style Gomoku Yokisoba 1. Large fried rice. Dude! You shouldn't use important documents like these as a makeshift shopping list. What the fuck is wrong with you? Well, I don't really think I have anything to say on that document for now. Maybe I will later once I learn some more information, but right now I got nothing. Either way, the murders have happened and now Rena's feeling the anxiety from it all. And on top of that, we got some top secret scrapbooks that we apparently never seen before, that we're going to be going over as well. So who knows what the hell that's going to do to her mental stability. I see things going downhill really freaking quickly from here. Anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and end things here. I hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of Higurashi When They Cry Kai Chapter 6. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time. Take care.